Greetings, fellow mortals. My first exposure to Chainsaw Man was a while ago. I remember seeing it advertised when it first came out, and I remember reading the first few chapters. I liked them well enough. I was interested in the world and the characters, but there wasn't a lot of story available back then. That was around the time when I first started dating my now wife, so I didn't have a whole lot of time for manga and anime back then. So I just kind of let the series drop. Not that Chainsaw Man was bad, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Even if a piece of art is great, we can let it slip through the cracks just because it didn't appear at the right time. I was always aware of the series though. I saw memes about it, I saw online discussion of the various characters, of the weird astronaut panel, and of Machina. Also, I was aware that people loved Power. I actually never got to see her when I first read the series, so I was interested in why people liked her so much. To my shock, I liked the first few episodes of Chainsaw Man so much that I binge read the entire series. Back when I first started watching, there were only like 4 episodes, so I had to read from where the gun devil was introduced. And boy, does this story just get insane. It was a wild ride all the way through. I wouldn't say that every plot twist got me, but some things came so far out of left field that I was left flabbergasted. Now, the thing that surprised me the most was how much I loved the characters, and these are some pretty terrible people. Just plain awful. I can't believe how supportive I am of a main character whose entire goal is to get laid. I thought that I would eventually get sick of him, but Tatsuki Fujimoto did a great job of making me understand this character, sympathizing with him, and understanding why he's not exactly the best person. The same thing could be said for the psychopathic liar Power, the apathetic Aki, and the terrifying Makima. Not to mention all of the side characters, many of whom die. I can remember all of them in some way though, even if I don't remember their names. But Fujimoto has a way of writing crazy people that works so well that I can't believe it. I don't think that a lot of writers can pull off these types of characters. The mixture of insanity, selfishness, and love that each of the people show is insane. In fact, the only author that I think comes close to this is Horia Oku, creator of Gantz and Inuyashiki, which are insane stories by the way, but while the stories in Oku's manga seem to fluctuate, Fujimoto's writing remains strong. Perhaps he doesn't lose interest like Oku seems to, or perhaps it's because Fujimoto puts a lot of thought into his worlds. One thing that I didn't expect from Chainsaw Man is the level of detail in the world. I did think that the world building would be so intense. It's like the opposite of One Punch Man, where the world is pretty basic. The devils, the concept of hell, and how they affect the world differently than our own comes out in unique ways. Having their powers be tied to how the world fears them was brilliant. I find it strange how the lore all works in such meaningful ways. I don't want to spoil anything, but the full extent of Chainsaw Man's powers intrigued me. It makes sense why Makima was so interested in him. And I guess that leads to the overarching story of Chainsaw Man. Despite its odd name, it is a fascinating tale. Normally, I prefer when the main characters actively make decisions which shape the plot. In this case, Denji doesn't make a whole lot of his own decisions. At most, he activates his powers and tears himself apart in order to defeat his foes. In fact, most of the story unfolds because of the antagonist's decisions. Part 1 focused exclusively on Makima's manipulations, while Part 2 seems to be leaning towards a new antagonist. Maybe. It's not exactly clear yet where the story is going. Overall, my exposure to Chainsaw Man has left a very positive impression on me. I would consider myself a fan, which is bad timing because everyone's becoming a fan of the show and the manga, which means that the old and new fans are going to be fighting it out soon enough. That usually happens when something surges in popularity. Meanwhile, I'll be over there in the corner hoping that Denji learns that he needs to mature if he wants any woman to be interested in him. Not that the show's popularity will ruin anything for me. A toxic fandom isn't anything new. Every popular show has one of those. Some are worse than others, to be fair. Steven Universe and Rick and Morty come to mind, but I've never let other people get in the way of me enjoying art. So I plan to enjoy Chainsaw Man as much as possible going forward. In fact, I'll be looking forward to enjoying all of Fujimoto's work going forward. Because this is an insane man. A lot of creators struggle to move on from their most successful works. I mean, especially with manga. Naruto and Bleach are great examples. Few seem to find success multiple times. Hiro Mashima comes to mind with Rave Master, Fairy Tail, and Eden Zero, but no one has captured me in different ways like Fujimoto. Fire Punch, Look Back, Goodbye Eerie, and the recently released Just Listen to the Song. Although I like that one the least, these are all amazing concepts for stories. My favorite out of all of them is Goodbye Eerie, which plays with the fourth wall in a way I didn't think was possible. It might be one of my favorite short stories ever, and the most fascinating thing about it is that it had to be in manga form. I don't think any other medium could have executed it as well. Books, animation, and live action would all fail that story. And this is a man that's reportedly around 30 years old. That's astounding to me. He has so much more time left to make new works of art. His drawing style is already beautiful and will probably get even better. There might be countless ideas floating around his head. It feels as though I discovered someone special that I can follow for a long time into the future. Not to say that everything is perfect. If I had any critiques for Chainsaw Man's story, it's that there wasn't a lot of room for other characters to actually do things. Power comes to mind. While her character development was amazing, she rarely contributed to the actual fights. I would like to see creative uses of her blood powers. But this comes off as a situation like the only problem that I have is that I want more, so I'll just stop there. Because I do love the characters. I love Denji and Power's relationship. It felt so intimate. I loved how Fujimoto turned a lot of the normal shonen trends on its head. Denji's goal isn't a grand aspiration. It's pretty much goals that every single teenage boy has. Power is rude, filthy, and doesn't care about romance. Aki is so apathetic, and the adventure trope gets turned on its head with him. I even loved how the love interests were deconstructed. Of course, maybe I'm praising him a bit too much. Just Listen to the Song was a one-shot which told us we might be drawing conclusions from Fujimoto's stories that he's not intending. Not that he doesn't want us to enjoy his tales, but maybe I shouldn't take them so seriously. It's just hard not to feel excited. Usually I'm inspired by individual stories. It's rare that I find an author that I admire enough to aspire to try to surpass. So, long story short, I think that he should get all of the money. Let's support this insane, brilliant man. But what do you think? Am I completely off base here? Do you like Chainsaw Man? Do you like Fujimoto's other works? Do you think that I'm blowing this out of proportion? Please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your perspectives. And thank you so much for watching. If you like my takes on storytelling, please consider subscribing and liking the video. It would really help me out. Also, please remember that I'll be self-publishing my novel, Dance of Frozen Death, at the start of 2023. I hope that you will check it out. I appreciate you. Do not despair.